Welcome back to another video. Today we are taking a look at the Nikon P950. Now this is a pretty new bridge camera from Nikon, but one of the big things about these bridge cameras that they produce, they have an incredible zoom range on them, and this is certainly no different. It's 83 times optical zoom, giving you an effective focal range of 24mm to 2000mm, which is just hugely versatile. It means there's all kinds of things you can do. Obviously shoot wide for landscape and all kinds of different things like that. Punch in, you could talk about portraits. This make a great travel system, wildlife, sports. There's loads of stuff that you can actually do with this because of that hugely versatile focal range. But let's jump into some of the kind of specs of this camera. So starting off with image quality, inside the camera, you've got a backlit 16 megapixel CMOS sensor. Now that backlit part is going to help a little bit with low light shooting, with having to bump up the ISO a little bit, although you've got a pretty bright lens on here as well. So we're talking about f2.8 to 6.5 with it adjusting through the focal range as you kind of zoom in. But that's pretty bright, and that's giving you nice sharp images as well. Even shooting wide open at f2.8, they're nice, sharp images, which is great. It means you can shoot in slightly lower light situations, even if you want to do landscape, and still get a nice, sharp overall image. Of course, like I say, that 83 times optical zoom gives you a lot of options for what kind of content you might want to be capturing, what kind of genre of photography or video that you might want to go into. So obviously we're talking about landscape a little bit, but I've been testing out a little bit with wildlife, with kind of getting those wildlife images punching right in to kind of 2000mm to capture those images. But of course you could do sports. Like I said before, it'd make a great travel system because you've got so much versatility in there. So if you want to do stills, you want to do video, there's a huge amount that you can actually do. And part of what makes the whole thing work, in my opinion at least, is the advanced optical image stabilization in the camera. So Nikon have put in a system called Dual Detect VR, which gives you up to 5.5 stops of stabilization. Now, usually I would talk about how that allows you to use a slower shutter speed to get better low light photos, but actually in this camera in particular, it is hugely necessary for shooting handheld at those longer focal lengths. So when you start to approach 2000mm, every little shake can become a big deal, can really ruin a picture. But with the optical image stabilization in the camera, it really, really helps when you're trying to take those long focal length images, because it really does steady it out, and it actually works incredibly well. So I've been testing that out a little bit with the long sort of 2000mm images on wildlife and just generally testing it on various things. Hugely impressive. The image stabilization is what makes this camera basically work in the way that it's set up. It works very, very well, and it works great for video as well. So if you were taking this traveling, if you were taking it around and about as an everyday camera, and you wanted to do a bit of stills, but also capture a bit of video, let's say you want to do a little bit of a family video, when you zoom all the way in, again, that handheld situation, every little shake is going to be magnified once you zoom in hugely. But again, image stabilization here, if you're shooting video, absolutely critical, and it works really, really well to smooth that all out. Now, speaking of video, it can actually shoot 4K at up to 30 frames a second, or full HD 1080p at up to 60 frames a second. So you've got a few options for how you want to shoot. You can get a little bit of slow motion in there. It's not the slowest. It's not going to be 120 frames a second, but 60 frames a second actually does give really nice results. And of course, 4K video looks great. So that's a great way of capturing some decent quality video if you want to as well. Now, it's not the smallest camera in the world. Of course, I think probably with bridge cameras, we don't necessarily expect them to be super small. That's not really what they're for. But it does take the hassle of kind of interchangeable lenses and things like that out of it. And I've got to say, it's very, very comfortable to shoot with. It's got an incredibly deep grip, which is so nice. It makes handheld shooting just for hours or carrying it around just not a problem because it's so comfortable. And then of course you've got the controls on the back and on the top, which are very ergonomic in their kind of placement. You've got a kind of circle control here, which also works as a D-pad. And then of course all your other controls there as well. You've also got this flip out screen. Now I've spoken before about vari-angle screens and how much I think they should be everywhere. But again, I love it. It flips all the way out, flips all the way around. It just makes shooting very, very easy. Of course you can tilt it, so if you're shooting down low or shooting up high, you've got it available to you. But the thing I like about flip out screens, as opposed to just the screens that flip down or up, is that you can use them really easily for portrait situations as well. So if you're shooting like this down low, you can have this facing up at you. You know, there's just a lot you can do. And I really appreciate it when it's in the camera, because I just think it's very, very useful. The screen itself is nice and bright, but of course you've got that electronic viewfinder there as well, which is actually really surprisingly good. It looks good to look through, it's nice and smooth, it's nice and bright, but it doesn't, or at least it doesn't appear particularly low resolution or anything like that, which is kind of what I was expecting. It actually looks really good. So to be honest, this is just a very, very nice bridge camera. Now I don't shoot with bridge cameras very often. I tend to shoot with full frame cameras or interchangeable lens cameras most of the time. But actually every time that I do shoot with something like this, it's just a very, very nice experience. I love having that huge zoom range because you can capture all kinds of different things, whether you want to go landscape, you know, wildlife, sports, or of course, zoom into those ever popular images of the moon really up close. Of course, you can do that with this 83 times zoom. That's so massive. That just gives you so much versatility for what you want to do. It's definitely the kind of camera that you could take out with you. If you don't want to have a compact camera, you want to go a little bit better than that, and you want to have this zoom range and stuff like that, this is definitely the kind of camera you could take traveling, just an everyday camera. It'd be great for someone who wants to capture decent quality photos, maybe a little bit of video as well, but they want to have an all-in-one system. They don't want to worry about changing lenses. This is a great system for someone like that. Now, if you have any questions about this camera at all, pop them down in the comments below. Of course, I'll pop a link so you can go check out the camera yourself in the description. So absolutely make sure to go and check out the full spec and all the cool stuff about the camera. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe as well if you're new, because we've got reviews, we've got tutorials, we've got all kinds of stuff all the time. I will, of course, see you in the next video. And as always, thanks for watching.